Actually, no, I'm not a worker. I'm not. I'm an artist. These are different classes, guys. Let's get with it. And I do not want a dictatorship of the proletariat. That actually scares the fuck out of me. I'm an anarchist. What that means is that what I want is a system that abolishes coerced labor and wage slavery, which are functions of currency-based exchange over a market and consequently must be abolished, and replaces it with one where people have unconditional access to their needs so that they have the positive freedom to pursue their true desires. How about that? Huh? I don't want a society of workers that's obsessed with maximizing efficiency. I want a society of artists that doesn't give a fuck about efficiency at all. Fuck your efficiency. This is the point where socialism always fails historically, actually. You are making a good point, you just don't realize it. When given the option, workers themselves always refuse to accept the idea of to each according to their needs. Always predictable, every time clockwork. Workers will again and again insist upon to each according to their contribution, because they are inherently concerned with the free rider problem. And then the movement falls apart because they really don't want to distance themselves from capitalism. They want it. And we learn that over and over again. The biggest they just refuse to think beyond it, okay? And we can have all kinds of talks about that, but that's the reality of it. The actual truth is that most anarchists have always been deeply aware that we're not going to get to communism via any kind of workers' movement, okay? This is one of the things that we self-congratulate ourselves about, actually. It's one of the reasons why we think we're so much smarter than you. Why we have a deeper understanding than Marxists. Bakunin insisted that the revolution must be waged by criminals, because only criminals are truly free. And he was right. Malatesta rejected syndicalism because he realized that unions, even when not co-opted by capital, fundamentally have the same interests as capital. A very deep observation in the context of living in a socialist reality. I mean, not a but living in a counterculture, a socialist counterculture, right? The class struggle is inherently capitalist. We talk so much about the class struggle. We forget that everything about it is capitalist. It doesn't end. Not in capitalism. You don't get out of capitalism with class struggle. You trap yourself within capitalism with class struggle. And there is no magical rainbow of communism on the other side of some imaginary end of the conflict. What I think Marx was right about was in pointing to the mode of production. This is often written off as technological determinism, but I think that it is actually correct. Capitalism, as we understand it, is not a function of human minds, so much as it is a consequence of the industry we've created. We are slaves to the robots. At a base level, everybody agrees that industry requires slaves, so if we're to have industry, then we must have slaves. Marx tried to get over this by making us all slaves to each other, and then arguing that we'll all be happy in slavery if we don't know any better. It's not really a way out. And the smart anarchists and the smart socialists, they always knew it. Marxism is not an answer. It never was. And we always knew it. The actual truth is that in order to abolish the slavery that industrial society necessitates, we must abolish industrial society altogether. There's no way to make this work without slavery. And in fact, everybody agrees that there's no way to make this work without slavery. We just argue over whether we should have slavery or not, and who the slaves should be. If we reject this, we are left with two approaches in abolishing industrial society. We can become primitivists, the whole green anarchist thing, let's go back to living in the forests, or we can become futurists. We can say that technology will emancipate us from labor at some point. We're actually nearly in the future, guys. Okay? This emancipation from labor, it's not science fiction anymore. We're very close to it. The advertisements will tell you that the future is now. Not quite. Don't listen to the hype. Okay? I hope the future is not now. The future would suck then. It's not here, but it's very close. Okay? I do not put my hopes for communism in the hands of workers' movements, but in the hands of scientists that are bringing us robotic systems of automated production. The same things that are going to take away your job are the things that are going to free you. They are emancipating you. They are freeing you from a system that enforces a a mode of slavery upon you. But you don't want to be free. The workers will not lead the way here. They will chain themselves to the factories. The leaders will be artists. Not me, though. Fuck leaders.